Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 88 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. What's up? If you're new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, often comedians and other artists, about their lives and careers. The conversation is casual, but I also ask everyone to highlight someone they love, someone who they admire, who influenced them, inspired them, or supported them. For more, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com, and the Instagram handle is at peoplewelovepodcast, and I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram if you want to follow me as well. And remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And yes, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is comedian Tommy Wakefield. Growing up in small-town North Carolina, he always gravitated toward the goofy and the kids around him who were funny. In school, he'd make video projects, and later in college even started his own stand-up comedy show. And Tommy's mom, Chelsea Wakefield, has always been an inspiration to him. She herself was a piano player, a musician, and after dedicating herself to new goals, became a successful psychotherapist and author. But mostly Tommy recalls making mom laugh to get him out of trouble. Let's just get started. Here's Tommy Wakefield. So it's good to see you today, Tommy Wakefield. Thank you for joining me on the Zoom here.
Happy to be here.
Oh, how are you holding up during this super fun 2020?
I mean, bad, but I think bad is as good as anyone could hope for, so I'm grateful.
You seem like pretty happy in general. Like you have a upbeat demeanor and disposition, or no?
I'm kind of laid back, go with the flow. So like the whole apocalypse could crash down on me, and I'd try and make the best of it.
Yeah, no, that's a good attitude to have. We can get right into it. I mean, you grew up in North Carolina. Is your social media telling the truth?
North Carolina, small town outside Asheville, North Carolina.
What do you remember, like earliest memories, even from like 4 or 5 years old? Anything jump out at you? Like,
well, I was born in California, and we moved to North Carolina when I was 4. So I have some memories of being a kid. My memory is like super visual. It's a super visual. Like I remember spaces and like emotions and kind of stuff. Like I remember my dad took me on this like silly like treasure hunt. He made up a fake treasure hunt when I was a kid, and I remember that.
This was in North Carolina. Do you remember anything from California?
This was in California.
Oh, you do remember stuff from California.
Because I just remember it being so exciting. Like he made a fake map, and we went on a treasure hunt. This is maybe my 4th birthday or something.
Was the end of the map was California and the end was North Carolina? Was it a really
that would have been great. That would have been awesome. No, it was just he buried like a box of candy in the yard, and I dug it up with a shovel.
That's probably better. Maybe, I don't know. That's cool though. So that's kind of is that the only memory of California? That's the kind of what jumps out at you, because that's pretty young.
Mostly it. That's mostly it. Then I remember moving, because that was like kind of not traumatic, but like a big event as a kid. And I remember I had a little Game Boy, and I played Pokemon, and then I just remember my parents loved looking at houses because we were moving. So I remember going to like 400 houses, and I just was so bored, but I would look for bunk beds. I would run around the house and look for a bunk bed.
Dude, I had sort of a similar experience, because I moved just from one town. I'm from Long Island, from New York originally, and I moved from one town on Long Island to another this was before 2nd grade. But my parents were looking for houses for 2 straight years plus, like every weekend, driving around looking for houses. And I assumed that that's what other families did. They just drove around looking for houses. Like I thought that's what people did. They just looked for their next house.
That's what we did.
And it was pretty boring, if I recall. And I think I probably had Game Boy with me more than, the original Game Boy.
Hell yeah. But I on top of like being a necessity, I think my parents got just like it was so fun for them for some reason. Like they were looking at any house they could. It was like an adventure to them, even though it's so boring.
Yeah. And what else do you remember from like that age? Like, early elementary school, what kind of kid were you? What were you into?
I feel like I've always been kind of the same person my whole life. you know? So it's kind of like relatively easygoing, little bit neurotic, very spacey.
Yeah, you're in the right profession, I think. That could work. Those things could work to your benefit, I think.
Yes, things
Or your
you search
detriment too,
about.
maybe.
I
I don't know.
definitely ended up where it seemed inevitable I would.
Do you have siblings?
I have two sisters that are way older than me.
You were born a
But I have,
nephew. That's right. I just watched the clip on Instagram.
yeah,
Born a
two
nephew.
sisters way
Or no, born
older.
an uncle. Born an uncle. You're born an uncle.
Born an uncle, yeah. So they're like 20 years older than me, and so they were more like aunts to me.
But they were around, or no? Maybe not if they were already having their own kids and stuff.
We would visit them every year, or we would visit my sister Laura every year. Carrie we'd see every few years, but Laura we would go every year and visit her, and usually in the summer we would take this long drive up to Virginia, and we would spend a couple weeks up there.
That's right. That's cool. So it was just mostly you and your parents in North Carolina and in a small town. And what did you do to keep entertain yourself besides going on house hunts with your family?
I remember my early childhood being pretty lonely because I just remember running around in the woods. We were in the fucking boonies, so I would get a stick and I would just run around and make stuff up mostly.
That's great though. It could be lonely like you're saying, and
It was beautiful, and I think I gained a huge appreciation for nature and imagination and creativity and stuff. But we moved again, maybe like I'm gonna say 7th, 8th grade, and I had a neighbor at that point, and he became my best friend, and we hung out all the time, and we were almost like brothers. So I'm super grateful for that, because when I was a little kid, I was definitely just alone a lot.
That was somebody that you had met at the first place you lived in? Or like you moved to North Carolina.
We moved to North Carolina, but then we moved from Hendersonville to Brevard, which is like, that's some small town. They're two towns close to each other. But
gotcha,
I was going to school in Brevard, and we were commuting for a while, but then we ended up just moving.
And which of the towns in North Carolina is where you met this friend that you got close with? That was
Brevard.
That was the second place you moved to.
That's the second little town. It's an even smaller town.
Gotcha. It's an even smaller town.
Yeah, it's probably like a few thousand people.
Were you watching like TV shows, comedy, listening to music like growing up? I mean, other than playing with the stick in the woods, which not that there's anything wrong with that.
As a little kid, maybe not, but I always loved like funny people forever. Like I was just attracted to goofiness and funniness and people who were not like just conforming and being boring, and because I couldn't just pay attention in class, like class clowning was just like came natural to me. So I would just look for any other kid that I could cut up with. Like I remember in first grade one time, the teachers would just punish me or like put me in timeout a lot because I would just fuck around. I would find any kid that was willing to goof around with me. We would like throw crayons at each other or whatever. And then even like through middle school, high school, like whoever the funny kids were, I was like, these are the best people in the school. And because it just, I think, makes stuff like schoolwork bearable to be able to kind of goof around and distract each other from it.
So is that your main source of recreation and entertainment? Did you play sports or music or anything like that?
I played a lot of music.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my mom was the church choir director. So I was in church choir every Sunday, helping out as a little kid. She got me playing the cello, and I would play cello in the Episcopalian church choir.
Was that a good experience?
A lot of people have bad experiences with religion, and I totally get that because religion is kind of crazy
right
in the South. Like I'm right in the Bible Belt. Everyone's Baptist. Everyone hardcore believes in hell. Super conservative. But our church was like Episcopalians, almost like liberal Catholics. Like women can be priests and priests can fuck. You know what I mean?
It wasn't super duper strict. And you're playing music too.
My parents were not like hell people. They were not like punishment people. They were kind of just like, yeah, God is love. It's all good.
That's cool.
So I learned a lot about music. Church was boring, but I never felt like oppressed by it.
Yeah.
At a certain point, my mom retired from the choir, and then we just like never went again. So. Except on Christmas.
Yeah, you don't have like a reason to go in a literal sense.
Right. Huge job.
What did you think you would be doing like with your life as you were like growing up and like getting into, I guess, even like high school? Did you have plans to go to college, have a major, like study something? Go into a field of work? When did comedy become a thing? We can get into that when we get to it, but like,
well, I always wanted to be a filmmaker. I mean, when I was a little kid, I was like just kind of a weird little kid. At first, I wanted to be an astrophysicist, and then I wanted to be a golf course architect.
That sounds cool. That's a good one. I'm surprised I didn't go through that phase.
My dad liked golf, so I would just draw little golf holes and I would show them to him. But I would make them crazy. I would have like flaming hoops you had to hit through, and
sure, mini golf,
more like video game mini golf holes.
Yeah.
But and then I watched What the Bleep Do We Know? And then I was like, I want to be a quantum physicist. and then in fourth grade, I got a little camcorder and I started doing video projects. And I would make them funny. Like I would make them just ridiculous because I realized like I could show them to the whole class and I could put whatever I wanted in there. And I would show them and like I would make people laugh and I was like, this is the best.
Yeah.
So I was like pretty sure I wanted to do filmmaking. I mean, I still like that kind of stuff.
Right.
So then I went to film school for college, and then in college,
where were you going to school?
A UNC School of the Arts.
How far is that from where you grew up?
Probably 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I was hanging out in film school, and I feel like I was definitely like a creative filmmaker guy in my small town that was like super unique and cool. And then I got to college and like it was very competitive and everybody was kind of doing that thing, and I was like looking for ways to set myself apart and like improve. And also like I wasn't doing the directing route because I was like trying to get a job. My parents were like, definitely do editing, something you can get a skill and pay the bills with. And I was like, that's good advice. But I wanted to like perform or like, I don't know. So I started a little stand-up club, kind of. There was an open room that people congregate in. And I was like, every Tuesday is stand-up night from now on. So every week I would put on like a little stand-up show.
This is in college, and who was this with people in your film, in your arts, like all over everyone in your art school, like anyone who wanted it?
Anyone at the school could just like walk by, and it was free, and it was kind of just an open mic for students, but specifically comedy, because there was another open mic that I also performed at, but that was like music and poetry, and this one was like I was like only comedy. So sometimes not that many people would show up or sign up, but I was like, I'm going to do this every single week, no matter what.
That's cool.
And it got kind of popular sometimes, and the school started paying me to do it.
Wow. So, you're a businessman. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow.
And that gave me a good amount of confidence. And also it was like incredibly low stakes, as low stakes as you could get. And I was really bad, but I learned a lot, and I got enough confidence under my belt so when I came to LA, it was like not that intimidating.
Right. So that's kind of like the beginnings of you doing comedy. And you said you performed at a music open mic too. And I'm guessing you were not playing the cello at that one.
No, I would, those mics were so fun, especially if you had a friend or so with you, because you were definitely like the party crasher.
Wait, with the music one?
Yeah, or like the vibe of like a college age stand up comedian coming in and like people like reading poetry about like their horrible episodes in their life.
Oh, I see. You did musical comedy.
I'm not even musical comedy. I'm just saying like there was very, very few stand up comedians at the mic. You would usually be like the only one.
Yeah.
And so like the vibe of the mic is very somber. People are like playing sad songs about like dead relatives and like breakups and reading like the most, you would be following like a poetry about suicide or like horrible war, like like blood and tears, and then you would go up there and you'd be like, my dick in my butt.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really played in your favor because people were like emotionally exhausted.
Yeah.
But other times it was tough to follow.
Yeah, that I could picture a scene in your biopic of that going in either direction. Like, oh, the college you're like performing. What did you perform at the music open mic?
Oh, just my normal jokes.
Oh, I see. You did stand up. I thought you were doing music at one thing and comedy at another thing. I see.
Yeah.
It was just
although I did write a bunch of funny songs that I did occasionally.
Yeah. On keyboard or something else? I know you play keyboard as well.
Yeah. I did a couple little like piano things, and then some stuff where I would like record something in my room because I was doing editing, sound design. So I figured out how to make musical stuff pre-recorded and like play backing tracks that I could like rap over or put just sound effects as part of the act.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, you're getting a lot of different skills on gaining a lot of different skills for sure in that time.
Oh, totally.
Sounds like
college was rad. I'm very grateful to have gone where I did.
And did you graduate and then you came to LA? Was that what happened?
Yep, pretty much. I always knew that I would go to either New York or LA. I wasn't sure I would come to LA for a while, but here I am.
Here you are. What do you remember about the early days of when you kind of like first arrived?
When I first got here, I remember just being super depressed for like a year. I think that's pretty normal.
I can, yeah, for many people, yeah.
Like, I mean, like, it's just such a fucking ocean of talented people and like gatekeepers and weird, like the vibes are very not small town South. And I knew that going in. I knew it was going to be hard. But I think like you can mentally prepare yourself for like what it's going to be like to be in the full mountain, the full game of whatever industry you're doing. But when that reality sinks in, it's just like overwhelming. You're like, damn, this is going to be a long climb.
And you moved here to planning to pursue stand-up comedy. Like that's your kind of like number one thing.
I mean, I want to like make a TV show or something, but comedy is something. I was like, a lot of my heroes started in stand-up and then kind of just moved up through the ranks, or like they got visibility and credibility through stand-up. And I also loved stand-up. Like I was like deep obsessed with stand-up most of college. And I was like, if I could just get on stage with stand-up, that would be amazing. But I also went to film school. I have a lot of ideas. I'm like, feel like if I could focus for 2 fucking seconds, I could put the whole package together. That's the dream.
Yeah, but you are you not? I mean, just, fast forward. I see you out there doing comedy, and I see you're producing content online. Like it seems like you're doing film things and you're on the stage, like live when you can. Like,
yeah,
you're living the dream, are you not?
I think I am currently living the dream. It's just like the dream is never as glamorous as you pictured it.
Tell me about it, my friend.
Yeah, I am. You're right. I'm living the dream. I'm paying my bills barely, and I am getting to kind of do my thing. So what the hell am I complaining about?
What does your mom think of like you pursuing comedy, and did you know, and what did they think of you going to film school and your parents and all that? Like what is their thoughts on your
My
life?
parents, my mom especially is like super supportive because she was a musician, so she gets the artist thing, and also like with her, she was an artist, like a performer, musical. She was like nightclub musician for a long time.
What did she play again? You said you played
She
piano?
piano and sings,
Wow.
and she's like real good. But at a certain point, she hit like 40 or something, and she was like, this is not really it's not really happening for me, so I'm gonna pivot. So now she is a couples therapist, and she's doing well at that. So she kind of like, she was the blueprint. She was like, go out there, give it your best go. If it doesn't work out, you can just do something else.
I just sometimes that's how life that's where life takes you for sure. But you know, it sounds like she's helping people. Know, isn't music a form of therapy in itself? So
Well, that's the interesting thing is like the arts has so many fucking, I don't want to say nutcases, but we're all weird. We're all like kind of
I hadn't noticed.
Unstable.
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. So she noticed she had this ability to kind of give good advice and kind of help people out with their head case problems. And so she was like, I could just do this professionally. So she went to school and got her thing, and here we are.
When did your mom? Yeah, when did she like change that? You said when she was 40. How old were you at that time?
Okay. First thing, my parents are like hella old.
Yeah.
So she had me. I don't know the exacts, but like late 30s.
Yeah. So, okay, so you were pretty young when she changed paths, but you basically you grew up with like a therapist in the house in the sense like
totally.
You like was that that must have been a good thing, like to help you with life.
Yeah, it was interesting. She wasn't like a therapist in the beginning. Like when I was like 4, she was writing her thesis for like master's degree. Or maybe I was 5 or 6. I would probably been 6.
Yeah, she was working on it.
And like my grandma would spend a lot of time with us. And then she was like a social worker for a while. She was like working with kids. And then by the time I was in middle school, high school, she had her own like therapy thing. So people would come to our house and like do sessions in the other room, and I would have to be quiet and like hide.
Yeah. You didn't be like, Mom, that guy's nuts, right?
Yeah, right. So I would like just try not to get in the way.
Yeah.
And I would never listen. I would never eavesdrop or anything because I was like, that'd be fucked up. And what else? Yeah, but it was interesting. I think I learned a lot of emotional intelligence from my mom and like being compassionate and kind of maybe understanding people's motivations a little bit, or like if people do something wrong to me, I can kind of like maybe figure out what their reasoning was. And also I kind of maybe do a lot of self-analysis as well.
Do you do too much?
Like,
do you do too
way
much?
Way too much.
I hear it is. I was going to ask like what might be, like, it sounds like, emotional intelligence, becoming more compassionate. Those are awesome things growing up with a therapist in the house. Well, and I was going to be like, what might be a drawback be? And then now I think that maybe that's it. Like, being too in your own head sometimes.
I think for a while I was, it's almost like I grew up in an area where like no one had any self-awareness, and then I had like crazy self-awareness, like so much self-awareness that at times I would like limit myself. I wouldn't do certain things because I would be like overthinking it, and I would be putting a lot of mental blocks in my own way.
Right.
Or like,
yeah.
I would be like, I'm doing this because of my ego, or I shouldn't be. Like I had a lot of hangups about wanting too much attention because I crave attention for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I think you grew up in a quiet, lonely place, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm the therapist over here now.
Yeah, and then like my mom was working a lot. She was working a lot, like on becoming a therapist, which is awesome. But so yeah, I would love they're definitely my first audience, my parents. I love making my mom laugh. Anytime I got in trouble, I could usually make her laugh and it would be okay.
I think I did a little bit of the same thing. That did not always work the same with my dad. I don't think.
Yeah, it's tougher with dads.
Typically, I suppose.
Sometimes I play this game. This is like not great, but like sometimes my dad is really smart, but sometimes he misses my sarcasm in a way that like my mom will pick up on it. So he'll ask me a question about like my school, or like how was school today, and I'll make up something that's clearly fake, but he'll believe it. But she knows I'm fucking with him.
But you say it in a way that's at least makes it believable to him, or is he that gullible? It's a little bit of both.
He's a little bit gullible because he's super nice, but I say it in a way where she gets it and he doesn't.
Right.
Like ride the line.
Yeah, you know
look
them.
At her.
You guys are mean. You're teaming up on poor dad.
No, he's the best. I am mean.
Yeah, go on.
But I don't, I don't do it in a mean way.
Have your parents seen you? Have your mom and your dad seen you perform over the years? Your stand up?
Well, I had one big show in North Carolina where like I was in it was North Carolina comedy competition. Shout out Idiot Box Comedy Club in Greensboro, North Carolina. If they have survived COVID, God bless. And I got to the finals of the comedy competition. It was like the top 5. And I got to perform in front of like 500 people at this big theater. And my dad came out and saw that, and that was awesome. And then my mom saw me one time in LA, and I kind of like bombed at the fucking haha. So
everyone has one story like that. I seem to that I talk to where a family member will see them bomb or something like that.
It's weirdly harder to perform comedy in front of my mom than my dad in a weird way. Cause the way that I make my mom laugh is like more me being the cute son of hers, right? Whereas my dad maybe is more comfortable with me being like a vulgar,
right,
out there comedian, like I guess because he's a big stand-up fan, but she's not necessarily.
Did your mom really trip you up that night, or was just the crowd an off night or something? It couldn't have been just her. I mean, this is.
Well, it's a combo. It's like that. I was still newer to the city. I was kind of nervous. The crowd was sparse. Like it was one of these fucking LA shows where it's like
things were working against you that night.
A lot of empty tables, and it wasn't just her. She like brought one of her friends with her, and I was nervous. And I started off with like a new bit, and that bombed. And then I was like, uh-oh. So I kind of pulled it together. I still have the recording.
It's funny how like these, I mean, you could speak more to this, but like how these little things at a comedy show can like really set the tone one way or another. If the opening joke isn't good, if the lighting isn't weird, if mama's there talking to someone you're not comfortable, like all these little things, so they not come into play. It takes a lot of things, to make a show
every
come together.
Little thing, like environmental thing that can go against you, I think makes a big difference, especially when you're not super experienced. I think if you're a vet, you can kind of just fuck up any room. I mean, there's always going to be shit that gets away from you, but like that same night, I saw this dude, Jason Collins, went up and he did his airplane bit, and that fucking crushed. And my mom was like, "Oh, he was so funny." So it's not like the room was unwinnable, but there was definitely a lot of other people bombing other than me.
Fair enough. What about, some other challenges that you come across in the LA comedy scene over the years, besides it being an ocean and just it being a challenging career path? What do you come across specifically that that you struggle with, or in the scene, or with your craft, or otherwise?
There's a million things. I think for one, I am getting into comedy in an interesting time where being good at stand-up is like barely important. It's way more about being good at online comedy, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you can amass an online following, then you're going to get hella stage time and opportunities. And if you're just great at stand-up, it doesn't really matter unless you can get in with the gatekeepers. There's like the old school and the new school. And I kind of came in with this full idea of like, oh, I got to get in the old school way. I got to go to the clubs and grind and impress these gatekeepers. And I kind of like met resistance with that a little bit. I was like, this kind of sucks, trying to suck up to these few individuals, most of whom aren't even comics, and they already have their faves. And like you can definitely do it. I think if you hang and you're good and you're friendly and you talk to people. I mean, when you first get here, the big problem is just stage time. Like, to get good at stand-up, you just need stage time in front of actual people.
Right.
So I had to start my own show just to get on other people's shows.
Makes sense. Yeah. So you can invite other comics on, and then they invite you on their shows or refer to you or whatever.
Exactly. Like I was here for like maybe a year and a half, or maybe it was more like a year. I don't know. And I was just getting nothing. Like could do some bringer shows. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
You have to like bring your friends and stuff. And those are miserable, and you don't get to pick the lineup, and they're way too long, and your friends end up leaving kind of exhausted. And then I was like, I'm going to just do my own show. My friend Kyle Reel, I don't know if you know him.
I interviewed him. Yeah, I know him.
And we started a show together because we could like get enough people. And it was literally the best venue ever, called Eno Vino.
Yeah, I've been at that show a couple of times. Of course, I think that might have been where I first time saw you.
That was the best thing ever for me. It was like this tiny little room. And if you could get like 10 people in there, it was like kind of fun.
Right.
And then near the end, we were getting momentum. We were getting like 25, 30 people in there. Sometimes
the couple of times I was there, it was good crowds. And it's always better to, of course, have a filled smaller room than have like a decent amount of people in like a giant space.
The filled smaller room is like, that is my power location. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's your bread and butter.
That's my bread and butter. Like, even not that many people, even like 15 people in a small room, 30 people in a small room, like, I'm just so comfortable in that space. I just know how to play it, especially in I ended up having 2 shows in the end. Well, 3, I guess. And they were all just tiny little rooms, and we would get like 20 people in there, and we would just have so much fun.
That's all it takes is 15 to 20 people minimum, I feel like, to have a fun comedy show. Because it's like you're gonna, by the end of the night, you're gonna get to know every single person's laugh in that room, and yes. Like and there's always gonna, what do we got going on here? Fucking, is that my car being robbed? Don't take it, my 2010 Scion.
Yeah. Wait till I'm done with the podcast.
Yeah. What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, the filling, the amount of people you need. Yeah, 15 to 20 people, I feel like is all you need for like the minimum of what you need for comedy show, to hear everyone's laugh in the room. And there's always going to be a joke that like that one person is going to laugh at, and I feel like everyone in the room will be that person at some point where you find something funny that other people, might not find laugh out loud funny that night. And that's always fun and interesting.
It's so intimate. And then even like after the show, you really get to talk to people. Because I think I learned a ton about just producing. Because after the show, you got to really go up to everybody and be like, thank you so much for coming. I hope you had a good time. Let me get you a drink. You know what I mean? You got to try and be personable. Obviously, you can't do it every time, but. Yeah,
no, that's definitely part of the experience. And you're making me sad bringing up all these like live things and intimate gatherings and people meeting in small corners and having good times. Because I don't know about you, like I enjoy like all the visual content and the online content and movies and TV shows and videos and YouTube. Like I'm on YouTube all day long.
Yeah,
But I prefer live comedy shows, and I miss live comedy, and I think that's the best. And it's sad to almost hear you talk about like, maybe that being a trend in the new direction is like of comedy and stand up in general. Like
it kills me.
Live audience,
huh?
You need a live audience for stand up. Like
not only live audience, like specifically my ideal comedy setting is like a cramped basement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've done shows in fields where everyone's spread out and it's miserable. You can't hear people's laughs. You can barely like see people's faces. It's just a whole different experience. I love like walking down a spiral staircase into a moldy basement. There's just like, you know what I mean? Like there's something that is stand up. Stand up happens in a cellar or an attic or a closet. You know what I mean?
I know. I've gone to, like, before all this, I was on a streak of going to many comedy shows that take place in venues like that you're describing, and all the backyard, garage, basement, outdoor, like all these like small venue, weird themed shows. Like it's fun. You never know what the hell you're going to see. It's always, what I love about the comedy shows is that it's always part really, really talented people and funny jokes and all that. And there's also at least a small part or some part that's freak show.
Oh, totally.
And that's what I'm there for, is both of those things. And
like
what the varying amounts will be, what the breakdown will be, we'll see.
That, I mean, especially these little indie shows and who the hell knows where. I mean, half of the appeal is that it might be a train wreck.
Right. And to see what happens from the train wreck is that's part of the show, to see when the comedian bombs, how did they respond? How does the audience respond? That can be quite hilarious in itself.
Oh man. when I first got here, it was kind of super depressing getting used to the new vibes, and I wasn't getting much stage time, and I was like telling my jokes and I wasn't very happy. And I changed my philosophy to, instead of just like trying to get laughs with these jokes, like just try and have as much fun as possible and try and connect with people. Because usually there would only be, especially in the beginning, there's only like 4 to 5 people in some of these audiences. And there was a time where that would depress me. I'd be like, what can I do? I can't do anything. These people aren't going to laugh. I changed that to like, make one of these people laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a new game. It's give up on your dreams of like having a huge audience and like killing with whatever fucking joke. Go up there and make up something, cut the tension with something improv. You know, have a different energy. Try something. It's like a Rubik's Cube now. It's like a puzzle. How could you fix this broken situation?
No, those are the best. It's good. Those are the best. If those are the best, comedians are the ones that can adjust to the room and adjust to something that might not be working or something that's.
I mean, I mentioned Rory Scovel earlier, maybe before we started recording, but like he's from South Carolina for one. And I remember in North Carolina, me and my friends would watch like videos of him on YouTube. And most of the videos are like that I still cherish in my heart, are like of him almost bombing and then just abandoning his material completely and doing something so off the wall and ridiculous that he wins the entire crowd back, and it becomes this spectacle. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's so good off the cuff that it's exciting. It's like, I don't know. It's just like magical in a way where if you saw like a guitar solo or something.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just impressive.
Once you do that a couple times yourself, because I was like, I gotta get into this. I want to start like improvising stuff, doing crowd work. And once you start doing it yourself and it works a couple times, there's man, the fucking endorphin hit from that shit is incredible.
I gather that's what keeps you going is those laughs and the connecting with the live audience more than anything.
Totally.
For sure. Cool. I feel like we covered a lot. We talked a lot of comedy, Rory Scovel a little bit of mom, a little bit of college. What else are you working on these days? You kind of already covered your some long-term goals and plans, but what are we working on like right now?
As ridiculous as this sounds, my new goal is to get going on TikTok. Okay, this is where the eyes are.
You're not on right now.
I am.
You are.
I got 26K on there, but I'm trying to build.
You're following.
I'm just posting my stand-up on there, but I'm about to run out of old recordings, so then I'm gonna have to like make dumb TikTok sketches or whatever. But this is the game. You know what I mean? It's all online.
I guess, and TikTok is a good platform for you. I'm not on TikTok. Should I be on there? I mean, I'm not putting out comedic content so much.
TikTok is like weird. It's weird, and it's mostly young people. Like it's mostly like high schoolers, middle schoolers. Right. So I don't necessarily consume that much TikTok content, but I'm also like, and I think a lot of people in my age have the wrong mentality. They're like, it's just a bunch of kids. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, that is true. Although that's changing more and more.
Those kids are gonna have to find something else to go on.
Right. But it's like Vine, you know what I mean? Like when I was in high school,
I remember.
Me and all my friends were laughing at Vines that were made by people in their 20s, 30s. And we became fans of them, and we're still fans of them today. So it's like, I think it's naive to dismiss these younger audiences because in 10 years, they're going to be buying tickets. You know what I mean?
Right. No, for sure. And it's just a platform like anything else. Like you don't have to love all the content on it, but to dismiss everything on it is kind of silly, and to dismiss the platform as a vehicle.
And it's so easy. Like just make shit for Instagram and post it on both. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I missed the live stuff though.
Oh, me too. I'm fucking heartbroken. I was very sad. I'm still sad. But
oh man.
What are you gonna do?
Outdoor socially distant things, maybe, or just wait till next year, hopefully. Whatever. We'll see.
I'm gonna try and get into the outdoor stuff, but I'm also like, I'm seeing the way shit is headed, and I'm like, I think the most valuable way to spend your time right now is just online content.
Right.
Or whatever it is.
Yep. And where can people find and follow you? And if there's anything else you want to discuss or mention, I'll
okay. Well, find me Twake online. Twake online on everything except Instagram for whatever fucking reason. On Instagram, Tommy Wake FLD. Just type in Tommy Wakefield and I'll pop up. I post dumb shit, mostly just stories of me skateboarding recently.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of those. Be careful out there, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna hurt myself because I'm so angsty.
Yeah, just the fact that I've said that in that voice, that just goes to show you that I'm too old to be on TikTok. I'm like, you're gonna get hurt out there, Sonny. You're gonna get hurt out there, Sonny boy. Skateboarding, wear a helmet, and be careful out there. I hurt myself
all the damn time. I roll my ankle every time I go out.
If you're getting injuries skateboarding, you are not too old to be on TikTok. You're good. You're good to go. You can use that joke, by the way, if you want.
Appreciate it.
Even though there's nowhere to go perform it.
Maybe in a year I'll bust that one out, huh?
Yeah, I'll have it on. I'll have to put it in my notes somewhere. But again, I appreciate your time. Good stuff all around. I wish you the most luck with all your endeavors. I look forward to more comedy, more content, more everything.
It's fun, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure. You got it. Talk soon.
All right. Take it easy.
You got it. Later. So there you have it. My conversation with Tommy Wakefield. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate his time for sure. And maybe I should interview his mom next, or someday. Or maybe I should really be one of her patients. Either way, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always for the support. And let's talk soon. Peace.